Here we're revisiting an orthokeratology case where the patient's got some glare and halos at nighttime. If we look at the post-wear maps, we have slightly smaller treatment zones from the initial set of lenses, slightly larger zones from the second set. With the second set, we had pushed the OZ and IC out about a millimeter, and we gained about just around a half, maybe a little bit over a half millimeter diameter in treatment zone. So we're getting more of the people inside the treatment zone, but the patient still got glare. So what else can we do to help the patient? Centration could be a little bit better. So this lens, it looks like it's riding a little bit low, and getting the lens to shift up a little bit higher may help, and ultimately increasing the size of the OZ should help as well. So let's bring up the lens for the right eye. A low riding lens generally is too tight. There is too much sagittal depth to the lens. If we can reduce the sag, then that should get the lens to ride up a little bit higher. So what I would do is we can click up at the blue dot and just kind of drop the apo clearance to 0. I don't think it's really 0 at this point. All we're doing is flattening the lens a little bit. That's not a huge change. If we want, we could lift the bevel a little bit more just to flatten out even more and see if this lens might ride up a little bit higher. We can also increase the OZ a little bit by adding shape factor to the lens. So if we go down here and add, for example, I usually go with a plus 20. First thing we want to do is look at our topo demand. We're at 896, and since the patient is refracting out to plano, we know that refractively we're right on. We just need to expand that zone a little bit. So whatever we do, we want to end up with a demand pretty close to 8.96. Okay, so I've added in my shape factor, and our demand is way off now. So I'm going to, in 100% mode, just click down until we are where we were. Okay, we're kind of close. Next thing I'm going to do is go around to the different meridians and kind of make the lens more symmetrical. We're at about a 166 here, and we're at about a 260 here. So that diopter difference, we don't really want that inside the lens. So let's go to 25%. Make this one closer. All right, so now we're more uniform, but our topo demand again is a little bit too high. So this time back to 100%, and oops, going the wrong way. Okay. And let's just double check each meridian again. And it looks like we are pretty uniform now. The power of the lens is a minus lens, so the power of the lens is going to be different because wave is trying to compensate for the aspheric optics right at the pupil. So the power of the lens will be slightly off or different from what we had before, but our topo demand, we want that to match pretty closely. So it looks like we've got quite a bit of bearing. So what wave is doing is really flattening the very center part of the OZ, and we don't want to get any central or too much central bearing. So I think I am going to bring this down a little bit. And we're still at 0. So we still have a little bit of flare out at the edge. Maybe that'll get the lens to ride up a little bit higher. It's also flatter in the center. And if I bring up a display of the lens we had previously, here's kind of a side-by-side comparison. We're a lot closer to the cornea centrally. That should help us maintain sufficient correction of the myopia. And the entire tear layer or tear graph is pushed a little bit more towards the periphery. It doesn't cross the 20 micron line as close as it does in the original lens. So hopefully this will give us a little bit more space for the treatment zone to enclose the pupil while retaining the same refractive post-wear refraction that we've got from before. So another way that we can kind of increase treatment zone size for patients who are suffering from glare and halos. Hope this helps. Best of luck with your patient. Thanks for watching.